Yeah. So last class we had talked about the existence, the Satyam and Mithya. So Satyam is something which doesn't depend on anything else for existence, and Mithya is something which depends on something else for existence. So Atma doesn't depend on anything for existence. Anatma, so anything else other than Atma which depends on Atma for existence is what is called as Mithya. So we have a natural existence of certain properties, natural intrinsic property of certain things which are intrinsic to that, and something which is borrowed. So in terms of natural intrinsic property, we had seen the example of fire, which the intrinsic property of fire is heat, and when you boil water in a vessel, the heat gets transferred to the vessel and in turn it gets transferred to the water. So the water feels hot, but water is not naturally hot. So it is borrowed existence. So the heat in the water is borrowed from the fire. So whatever is dependent on others for existence is not Satyam. So it has no existence. So in general, whatever we see other than the Atma depends on the Atma. So Atma is the only Satyam. Everything else that you see is Mithya, because everything depends on Atma. So Krishna is going to again and again talk about the nature of the Atma. He is going to again bring the various aspects of Atma in each of the following verses. So why does he have to do that? There must be a reason why the same thing is repeated in many ways, because that is how the methodology of teaching is. The methodology of teaching is to ensure that everybody understands what is being conveyed, because each of us has a different capacity or capability to understand. So each section of people, some may understand in one way, some may understand in another way. Even in our college days, we must have seen in the classes, some people when the class is on, some people are able to understand, some people have doubts on various things. So Lord Krishna, as the universal teacher, he knows, because he is the one who has made everybody. So he knows what is the capacity, what is the capability of each person. So he knows that each one will have their, if you present it in one way, the other person will have a different doubt. So he talks about the nature of the Atma in different ways, so that everybody is able to understand. And not only that, when you repeatedly give this in different ways, it also helps us to understand better, because you explain once, at that time we feel, oh, I have understood, but after some time, after a couple of days, we have forgotten. So when you keep on repeating certain things over and over again, it tends to stay for a longer while. So the whole process of teaching and learning is to reflect upon whatever we have learnt, so that the teaching remains or the understanding gets better. So that is why you will find the same thing. Somebody may say, oh, he is only again talking about the same thing all over again. So it is not without a reason. So we should have that Shraddha, as we call it, in the teaching, as well as the teacher here, who happens to be Bhagavan himself. In fact, it is not Krishna who is talking. It is Bhagavan in the form of Krishna. So we should remember that Krishna is a medium through which Bhagavan is talking. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, wherever the Lord speaks, it is never Krishna Uvacha. It is Bhagavan Uvacha. So that means we should understand that it is the Lord himself is speaking through Krishna, because Krishna is a human being, was a human being like all of us. He also was born and he also died or left his body. We may call it in a different way. So, but he was an avatara, as we call him. So the Lord, the Supreme Lord, appeared through him. So it is not that Krishna by himself was talking all this. He was the Lord, Bhagavan himself was talking through Krishna. So this was what we understood in the last verse. Now let us go to verse number 17. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Here he continues talking about two more aspects of the Atma. One is, it is indestructible. Nobody can destroy Atma. You try even the Lord himself cannot destroy Atma. Even if the Lord wants, he cannot destroy the Atma. Because the Atma cannot be destroyed by any means. So that is why he says, even if you kill Drona, Bhishma or anybody else, you are not going to destroy them completely. You are going to only destroy their bodies. But the Atma cannot be destroyed. So Atma is indestructible. It cannot be destroyed by any means. So that is what one thing he wants to say. And the other thing is, it is all pervading. So everything is pervaded by Atma. Like you have space. Everything is pervaded by space. So when we have space, we construct buildings. In the buildings, we construct rooms. But the same space pervades everywhere. It is not that the space outside the house or the space in the other room is different from this room. The space outside this building is not any different from the space which is outside the building. The space inside the next building is also the same space. So the space pervades everything. It's only that we have created space within space, but the space is the same. So by putting some walls, we have created space in room, in a building, in a hall, in a auditorium. We feel okay, this has got a lot of space, but the space is the same in everything. Only thing, by putting in a bigger space, we think we have a lot of space, but it is the same space. So same thing with Atma. It is all pervasive. So the Atma within you, within me, within everybody else is one and the same. So there is no difference. Like space pervades everywhere, Atma pervades everything. That's why you cannot have Atmas. There is only one Atma and everything is one and the same. We divide, because like we say this house, so this body. So the Atma is also available in this body. It is available in every body. Space is available in this house. It is also available in that house. It is also available in this room, that room. So the Atma is all pervasive. So we cannot divide the Atma. It is not that the Atma in you or in me is different. It is all pervasive. So these two factors is what Lord Krishna has in this verse. It cannot be destroyed and it is all pervasive. So he is presenting the different aspects of Atma for understanding, because each one may have, how can this Atma be, I am a different person, you are a different person, so it must be different. That's what he says. For the example of space, the space accommodates everything. The Atma accommodates everybody. The Atma is present in everybody. So the space accommodates everything. All the things that you see outside are accommodated in the same space. So there is nothing else. So the space accommodates everything. So does the Atma. So all that you see is accommodated within the Atma. So this is the meaning of this verse. So let us move on to the next verse, which is the 18th verse. Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasya madudyasva bharata. Here he says again, the one, the indweller of the body is indestructible. Again the same point. Only the body is destroyed, the container is destroyed, but the Atma continues to exist. So the body is temporary, the indweller is permanent, the one who resides in the body is permanent. But the bodies come and go. So when you, again he wants to tell Arjuna that even if you kill Drona, Bhishma, Duryodhana or any of the other warriors, you are only going to kill their body. They are going to continue to exist, because the one who dwells in those bodies is permanent. He cannot be killed. So again in this verse, he wants to convey that the indweller of the body is permanent. The indweller doesn't die, only the body dies. And the other aspect is Atma is aprameya. It is not an object to be known. It is never an object. So the question may come, then how do I know it is there? You are saying it is not an object of knowledge. Then how do you, if something is not an object, then how do you say it is there? It is not knowable. If something is not knowable, how can you say it exists? We can take the example of a photograph. In a photograph, suppose all of us are there in a photograph. But there is one thing which is not there in the photograph. You take a good photograph, all of us are visible in the photograph. You say, okay, nice photograph. How did the photograph happen? Because there is a camera. The camera never appears in the photograph. Does that mean there is no camera? So a photograph means it is understood that there is a camera. Without the camera, the photograph cannot happen. But the camera never appears on the photograph. So we all know, it is assumed that we all know there is a camera. So, but camera is not an object to be known. Similarly, Atma is not an object to be known. Like the camera, everything happens because of Atma, but Atma by itself is not visible, because that everything is because of that. The Atma is not in any way affected. Whatever happens, it continues to be there. So it is never an object of experience. So we all want to experience. So when we say, I want to experience this, I want to experience that, so all our experiences are towards something. But you can never experience the Atma. Can you see your own eyes without a mirror? Mirror is only a reflection of your face. What the mirror shows, you have to assume it is true. You cannot, it's only by inference. Yes, there is a polished surface which is reflecting. So you can never see your eyes. So that doesn't mean there are no eyes. So the Atma is so known only through understanding what is not Atma. So if you remove what is not Atma, only the Atma remains. So that is how you infer there is an Atma. You cannot see the Atma, you cannot feel the Atma, you cannot experience the Atma. But you, from all these things, you infer there is an Atma. So that is what it takes a little bit of understanding, because this is something we are always looking for something to experience. We are always looking at an object to understand. So when you say something is not there, but it is there, you cannot experience it. You cannot know it. So naturally, it's a bit confusing. How is it possible? If something I cannot see, I cannot experience, how can it exist? So this example of photograph and camera is one example, just to show that something can happen. The photograph is available, but without the camera there is no photograph, and the camera is never seen in the photograph. But we also understand without a camera there cannot be a photograph. So without an Atma there is no Anatma. So that is how we have to infer. So it is not direct knowledge by seeing. Okay, if I see you, this is Jyoti, I know. This is Sri Ram, I know. You cannot do that. Okay, this is Atma. But these names that are there, they are only meant to identify your body. The Atma remains the same, whether it is Sri Ram or Jyoti or Murli, whoever is there. They are all different names given to different bodies. You look different, so to identify we have names. That is why in our culture we always bow down, we say Namaste. So we are not saying Namaste to that person, We are acknowledging the Atma in that person. That is why we prostrate. So this is what differentiates our culture, because our people knew the Atma, which is alien to the Western culture. So for them, bowing down to somebody, prostrating before somebody is unthinkable. So why should I prostrate to this person? Why should I bend down before this person? Because they don't understand that the person as visible is not what we are bending. We are bending to the supreme being which is there in every being, in every, even why only human beings? We can even prostrate to animals or even trees, which we do. We do Gau Puja because we acknowledge the Atma in a cow. So once you understand that, then we can infer. So all these are just to clarify the existence of Atma. Otherwise, why should somebody bend down or fold your hands in front of somebody? It is not the person who is being acknowledged, it is the Atma in that person. So that is what this verse was trying to say. The Atma is the indweller in the body. So if the body is destroyed, the Atma continues to exist, and it is also not an object to be known. Now let us go to verse number 19. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Again, here Lord Krishna says, if there is somebody who is being killed, there is a killer and there is somebody who is being killed. So there are two people available, and killing is one of the most, you can say, extreme actions. So all the actions you do, probably the worst action is killing. So somebody is killing and somebody is getting killed. Now he says, neither the one who thinks he is killing is a killer, nor the one who is killed is the victim. Because Atma is neither the killer nor the victim. Yes, you are killing the body, somebody is a killer, he is killing the body, and the other person is being killed. So there is a victim and there is somebody who is performing the action and there is somebody who is the victim of that action. But Atma is neither the killer nor the victim, because who is killing whom and who is getting killed? Because Atma cannot be killed. So there is neither a killer nor a victim of the killing. So both don't, in reality, neither there is somebody killing, neither there is somebody who is getting killed. So this is something which, so somebody can say, okay, then I can kill anybody because I am not killing a person, I am killing the body of that person. So if somebody asks that, that is without understanding the Atma. If you understand the Atma only, you will be able to realize that ultimately there is nobody being killed, because the Atma cannot be killed. It is Akarta and Abhokta. Akarta means it is not the doer. For example, you take space. We are sitting in a space. There's a lot of activity happening in the space. Now, is the space anyway connected with the activities that is going on? And the activity that goes on, does it affect the space? Let us take another analogy. Movie. We had seen that analogy earlier also. There is a screen on which the movie is happening. The screen only provides a space for the movie to be screened. But whatever happens in the movie, it doesn't have any effect on the screen. If there's a fire in the movie, the screen doesn't catch fire. There's water in the movie, the screen doesn't get wet. And the screen also cannot influence the movie. It's not that the screen says, okay, this scene is not good, let me change the screen. So the screen, the movie. So the screen, if the screen decides to change what is happening in the movie, then it could be a different experience. But the screen, even if it wants, it cannot do that. The same thing with Atma. Everything is happening. The Atma has no role to play. Neither is the Atma doing anything, nor is the Atma getting affected. Like the screen. The screen is not there. It is just there to allow the movie to happen. It doesn't get influenced by the movie at all, nor it can influence the movie. So the Atma also cannot influence us. The Atma is like the screen which is available, on which this movie of our life is going on. So if we look at it, it's a movie, continuous movie which is going on. Characters come and go. But the person is not at all affected. So you are the screen on which everything is being projected. So you can imagine a screen and we are all being projected there. So you are actually the screen, but you think you are the character in the movie. And you start, feeling sorrow, you start feeling happiness looking at the character in the film. We all, though we know the film is all a story, nothing like that has happened. Still, when we watch a movie, we go through all the emotions. When there is a death happening in the movie, you can see people crying. When there is something funny happening, we see people laughing. So why does this happen? Even though you know very well that it's only a movie. At the end of the show, you get out and say, oh, you just wake up and say, okay, it was like a same thing in a dream also. We all, in a dream, we think at that moment it is very real. So we go through emotions, like in a dream, if a tiger is chasing you, you feel panic, you start running for your life. And then suddenly you wake up, you'll say, oh, it was only a dream. But when you are dreaming, you didn't know that. So if you know in a dream that, yes, I am dreaming, will you feel any panic? Yes, I am in the dream, and in the dream, one tiger is chasing me. Only when you wake up, you realize it was a dream. But at that moment in a dream, you have the same panic that if you confront a real tiger. So this is what we need to understand. So that is why this example makes us understand that whatever is happening is just like a dream. In a dream state, we don't realize that, but in a waking state also we should realize that whatever is happening, it's again similar to a dream. So the Atma is neither doing anything nor anything is being done to it. So it is neither the bhokta. It is akarta and abhokta. So akarta means the one which doesn't do anything. Karta means somebody who does. Akarta means something which is not, somebody who doesn't do. So Atma doesn't do anything. Abhokta, neither it is experience anything. So this nature of the Atma, so we have to understand, and that is our true nature. So whatever is happening, neither are we doing anything nor we are suffering anything. It is just seemingly happening, but at this moment it is happening. I cannot deny that. For example, sunrise. When you see the sunrise, you say the sun is rising in the east and sun sets in the west. We also know very well the sun never rises or sets. It's only the earth which is going around. So it appears that the sun is rising from the east and it appears the sun is setting in the west. We know it is not, still we accept that. So if somebody says sun rises in the east and sets in the west, we'll say yes, he is right. We are not going to tell him no, you are wrong. But if you understand how these things function, you also know that the sun is neither rising nor setting. It is seemingly happening. So same thing, whatever is happening to us now, it seemingly happens. So that is what we call as mithya. But you, the person, doesn't go through any change. Neither you are doing anything, nor anybody is doing anything. Nobody can do anything to you, neither you can do anything to anybody. You have to just understand that you are the one who is there permanently, and whatever is happening is all impermanent. So that understanding comes over a period of time. That is why Krishna is emphasizing in the first few verses the nature of the Atma. So this is part of Jnana Yoga. So the nature of the Atma is being described in detail so that we should have that at the back of the mind. We are not, after this class or after we forget about this, we will go back to thinking that I am not the Atma. Because it is difficult for us to accept that we are the Atma. So that is why repeatedly he is talking about the nature of the Atma in different ways so that it stays in our mind. But again, our mind should be mature enough to retain this knowledge. That is why after a few verses he is going to talk about karma yoga, about action, which we are all familiar with. We are more familiar with action. So to prepare the mind to accept this knowledge at all times, at any time this knowledge is available, you are free. So that is what moksha is all about. That is why this is Moksha Shastram, where Krishna is first telling you what is your true nature. Then he will tell you also how to prepare your mind, what needs to be done, so that at any time you are sure about your true nature. Because at this moment we may feel, yes, I am the Atma, I am indestructible. But when next moment something happens, we slip and fall, we forget about the Atma, the body will start paining. So then that time we don't feel we are the Atma. So that knowledge has to be available 24/7. For that, the mind has to be ready. That also Krishna is going to tell us in further as it goes. So he is going to tell you how to prepare your mind to retain this knowledge at all times. So we will conclude with this today. We will continue in the next class.